Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Dream Huge podcast, hosted by JP, John Pavlansky, JP for three, the top huge producer here at Dream Huge in 2023, selling over 13.2 million in sales. Folks, if you need help buying or selling or investing, this is the man. Give JP a call. He would love to help you out. He's busy, but he needs to be more busy, as we like to say here at Dream Huge. Ain't that right?
Want more problems, more busy. Absolutely, Pete. Man, I'm doing great today. Really excited to talk to our guest today and talk some real estate. Pete, how are you doing, my man?
Good. At the end of the day, we want to help out as many people as we can. And you guys know in this business or in any business, the more people you help, the more successful you will ultimately be, right? So I'm excited for JP. You're going to help out a ton of people this year. We got our special. I'm doing excellent. I'm excited to help out a ton of people this year, more so than we did last year. Help people solve their real estate problems and help
Yes,
people
sir.
invest better in real estate. We've got Kaleb Packer on here. Kaleb is a real estate investor. He is the owner of Ideal Property Investors, and they're right here in Mansfield, Ohio. So, my man Kaleb, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for the invite. Sorry that Justin and Mark couldn't join us today, but definitely excited to be here. And this is actually my very first podcast. So you guys are the
Woo!
first.
Oh man, the
Right,
podcast
right.
working right here. Okay. All right. So we're
Hopefully not
trying
my last one ever.
to No, you are going to be an excellent guest. And part of the reason for that, and I know that I met Kaleb through his real estate investor club. So if you don't mind, let's start with that. Talk to us about the club and where it is today and what the future plans for it are.
Yeah, we've actually had a couple of questions, I guess, about current status and everything. So the real estate meetup that we were doing was just kind of this organic, just friends getting together to talk about their good, their bad, the ugly with the real estate. And it kind of started up during COVID. So it was really meant to be kind of a small thing, kind of just done, grabbing a beer, hanging out with some friends. And then it kind of just grew to this, hey, can I invite somebody to come hang out? Like, yeah, let's do it. A couple of deals were done just from the friends of, in our networks. And then we're like, you know what? Maybe this thing actually could be a thing. We wanted to be able to bring people in and actually have a little bit of momentum behind it from maybe an education standpoint, but also a networking. So we were meeting up once a month, and it kind of shifted some different locations. We went to some restaurants, and then just kind of created an environment for people to come in, learn a little bit, but more importantly, connect with others. And we were going for probably 2.5 years, pretty strong. And there was three of us on the leadership team that were kind of responsible for coordinating everything. There was a lot of life circumstances that happened, and happy to share a couple of those things. But like one of the guys had a baby, so obviously there's just bandwidth capacity there. One of the guys, unfortunately, his stepson was killed in a tragic car accident at the age of like 18, just graduated high school. So he kind of just didn't have the capacity to do it either. And then life circumstances, for me, I ended up going through a divorce. So there just was a lot of stuff going on, and it's part of those trials that kind of make you who you are. So we do want to bring it back in the near future. And the more people that we have that know about it, the more incentive we have to bring it back. So
Good. Well, I can
thanks for
say
asking about that.
I always had it. Yes, thank you. I always had a great experience when I went. I thought you guys did a great job, and man, the last one I went to was at Old Bag of Nails, and I think there was probably 40, 50 people in that room.
Yeah. That was when Brad came out. There was probably 40, 50 people there for sure.
So the power of networking and just being with others who are doing what you want to do and doing what you are doing and speaking your language or learning that language of real estate investing is so important. Yeah, I'm really, yeah, I know life gets in the way sometimes. There's a lot of tough things there, but I'm hopeful that you guys bring that back. If not, maybe you'll share that your contact list with me, and we might just we might just have to bring it back because it's yeah, it's very valuable. So looking forward to that. So tell us a little bit about your personal real estate investing story.
Man, that's a good question. I never know where to start with that. My background is actually in engineering, and so I was doing that whole 9 to 5 kind of thing, and putting food on the table, paying the bills, making ends meet, and we were doing just fine. I was in
Where
that
were
big.
you?
What's that?
Where were you as an engineer?
Like physically, I was like
No,
in.
like what job, what was the company that you worked for?
Oh, I worked for Cooper Tire for a while, and then I was doing mold design and equipment design. And then I moved over to a company called ITW, which is Illinois Tool Works, probably the largest like Fortune 200 level company that nobody's ever heard of, because they never really market underneath their own brand. So
Okay.
they're 17 plus billion a year in revenue. So I actually moved from doing mechanical design work over to a chemical division, which makes zero sense for most people. But hear me out on this. They hired me as a liaison, as basically to work with the chemists and manufacturing engineers, to design products for their molding operations. So I was kind of that technical service person, and I started working with the sales team. I would attach two different salespeople and travel throughout the U.S. to go and work with various companies. And then I ended up getting my own sales territory where I had 9 states plus Canada. I was required to be on the road 4 out of 5 days a week, every week. And at the time, I was living in Chicago, and the closest state that I had was Ohio. I didn't even cover Illinois or Indiana. I was all East Coast. So imagine Sundays, Mondays, you're packing up, leaving, traveling 4 or 5 hours if you're driving, minimum. And that kind of just got to me, it got to a point where it kind of lit a fire under me. Like, you know what? I'm a few paychecks away from broke, right? Not necessarily that extreme, but you realize that you're pretty dependent on this job. And I know that back when I was working for Cooper, I graduated college in 2007, December of 2007. So excellent time to be entering into a 2008 job market. And I was just too dumb. I didn't know any different as far as like, what I was going into. But I knew after that first year that I was on my knees praying that I would keep my job because I needed it. I bought a house after working for 2 months, and the whole real estate market started falling out. Luckily, I never missed a paycheck. I never lost my job, but I felt very financially insecure.
Hmm.
And I started researching, Googling, like trying to figure out what this thing was. And then somebody finally put a term on it of financial freedom. And I was like, that's what I want. That's what I need. I don't want to ever feel like I could just lose everything after being tied to one company.
Yep.
So I did the same thing that everybody always does: reads Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yep.
Um, Although I didn't know it. I started off reading Cash Flow Quadrant, which I think is actually his second book,
Me
but I
too.
didn't know. So but I distinctly remember sitting at my computer working for Cooper, doing my headphone thing, doing some design work, and I'm like, I can't even think. I'm just like so blown away by the concepts that are articulated in this book. And it's like, I've always felt this way, but until somebody puts words to it and names it and describes it, it's like, that's what I need. Right. Um, didn't really do anything about it. I mean, I always invested in stocks and whatever else I could passively. Fast forward a few years, moved to Chicago. That's where my wife at the time was, in her residency for becoming a general surgeon. So we spent 5 years there, and that's when I decided, you know what, like traveling all the time with work, never home. Let's go ahead and flip some houses. So that was kind of the catalyst. I'm like, you know what? I need to make some extra money. I need to get some experience, earn some stripes. And so I started flipping some houses, found some contractors, and we're kind of off to the races. So that's where it all started. Um, Everybody goes through this transition where they're learning and they decide what type of investing they want to do. Do they want to be transactional? Do they want quote unquote passive? Although we all know that real estate is far from passive. There are some avenues you can go that are truly, truly passive to you. But that was kind of where I started off. I started doing some fix and flips, moved back to Mansfield, Ohio, and wife got a job at the local hospital here. And, I kind of started doing some buy and holds, some burr deals, and then just transitioned strictly into buy and hold. I guess I flipped a couple of things here or there, have a rental for a while and then sell it off. And then started buying a little bit more multifamily. The whole time, started to build a little bit of a nest egg and was able to invest truly passively in syndication deals. So I don't know, I'm a limited member on, I don't know, probably 6 or 8 different like syndication projects out there. Some with some big name operators, some with some people that I've literally known all my life, elbow to elbow with. So done some private lending, did the whole solo 401k, have lent money to various fix and flippers and investors. So yeah, and then we actually dipped our toes in, bought a short-term rental down in Nashville. So we're kind of all over the place as far as the real estate journey, and I'm happy to dive into any of that.
Man, did you get all that, JP?
Hey, I tried to stay followed up with that. I tried to stay in tune.
A little bit of everything, all across the spectrum. But a little bit that I took from it was starting with, okay, first you said, okay, I'm a super smart dude. Let me recap that for everybody. So let's see if I'm following up. Let me summarize that. I'm a super smart dude. I'm an engineer. My wife's a surgeon. I mean, we're making some good money. But I'm in fact so smart that I'm figuring out I'm grinding too hard. I'm grinding too hard for somebody else. And I need to be grinding for my own self.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, when you discovered financial freedom, and this is what we preach at Dream Huge. Yes, we are real estate agents, a team of real estate agents. But first and foremost, we are real estate investors, because a real estate agent is only a job, and that's a flipping a house. It's the equivalent of that, right? And don't get me wrong, we love helping folks. That's our moneymaker, right? We love helping folks, but it will only get you so far. You have to invest. You have to take those paychecks and invest them, not just spend them. And you have to invest here. And how else can I invest in real estate and really set myself up for financial freedom and growing wealth? So, and I'm going to preach that, and I preach that more and more here. We are here because we want to be real estate investors. Yes, and being a real estate agent is a means to the end. And I think for you, it's the same exact story. Being an engineer, once you discovered it, was your means to the end. So now, we get to dive into any and all of the nuts and bolts on any one of those facets of real estate investing that you use.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot to unpack with that, right? And I think that everybody has their means to an end, and everybody is going to have to work in order to be successful, right? Sitting there and wishing that you had money is just a fallacy, right? You have to be able to put together a tangible path to that goal, right? So I think the key thing that I would say is people need to establish a goal, but the more important part is to understand why you want that goal. I hear a lot of people say like, oh, if I was just a millionaire or a decamillionaire or a billionaire, well, okay, that's great. They're all arbitrary numbers. for financial freedom, right?
Mhm.
But why do you want that? What's the transition? Is it because you can sleep better at night knowing that you've got, Scrooge McDuck with a bunch of money? Or is it because it can actually get some of your time and freedom back, right? Um, and I think there's also different levels of the real estate investing piece of it. There's the people that are just, hey, I want to be able to have some extra money, or I want to replace my income, or I'm actually doing this because I want to build an active business. I'm in the position right now where I've fallen in love with it. And I know that I want this to be my job, my investments, and my business, right?
Mhm.
Not everybody's going to fall into that. And I think that, investing isn't always for everybody as far as the buying individual properties. It's okay to invest passively. But I think the key thing is knowing what you're willing to do and how much work and effort you're willing to put into it. Obviously, returns can be adjusted proportionally to that. I think there's a lot of people out there that love their jobs, but that doesn't mean that that should be your sole source of income, right?
Right. Um, take me take me down this path here. I got a question for you. How do you view investing all on your own, being 100% owner of everything you buy, and buying it with your own money traditionally, 20% down? I'm the complete owner. I call all the shots. They're all mine 100%. Okay. I save my 20%. Every time I save up 20%, I go and buy another property. And
Mhm.
it's cash flow. I'm talking buy and hold stuff. Okay. That versus let's partner up. Let's team up. Let's create some different partnerships and or using other people's money. And so what's your view on doing it solo or doing it as a team? Pros and cons.
Oh man, there's a lot to think through on that part of it, right? So if we're talking about the active piece of it, the active, like, hey, I'm going to either buy with my own money or I'm going to buy with other people's money and I'm going to actively participate in this deal. That's, I'll say, maybe two different options. And then maybe a third option is I'm coming in as a limited partner, just as a capital member, right? So maybe if I break down those three avenues, the easiest thing obviously is like the syndication route and the capital piece of it if you have the capital. So I'm a big fan of those aligning with good operators, exposure to different markets. You have a lot of diversification, and you can have some really good returns. So, but again, that's not for everybody because a lot of times you have to have either special connections or become an accredited investor, and that's not necessarily the hey, I'm gonna just save up 20% and put down 20 grand and go buy something. Like most of the time, you need to be chunking out 25, 50, 100K a shot to get into these types of deals. So that may not be
Sure.
accessible to everybody, right? So if you bring it back over to like, hey, what can I do that's the sweat equity part of it, where I'm acting as the partner or I'm doing something to move this deal along. And I've done both, right? Like my portfolio that I have was actually me just grinding away for several years. And it was mainly triggered off of the BRRRR strategy, right? Everybody knows from bigger pockets the buy, the rehab, rent it, and refinance it. So I've done several of those, and that's how we kind of started building that equity that we could then continue to drive and buy bigger properties, right? Um, so I love the control part of it. I'm sort of a control freak when it comes to like my properties. I like them being run a certain way. I have a certain standard. I want to deal with certain tenants. I've never been the one. I've never even thought about putting them underneath property management. It hasn't even crossed my mind. Um, so I'm a big fan of like having that control, but I also know that I understand where my goals are. And my goals are more than what I can just do personally. So I think that there's times where you're like, hey, I have some experience. Now let's leverage that. And other people that have seen you grow can then come in and participate in what you're doing. And so we've actually raised capital and brought on, partners. Like I've used private lenders, but it's another thing when they're in the deal with you for a long period of time, right? So I'm like the general partner, running some of these, multifamily investments where people have brought in capital. So there's a certain weight that comes with that, knowing that you have friends, family, other people's money involved in your deals. So that's even more incentive to make sure that we're operating at the best level that we can, and that we're always going to get better. So um, I think it creates a whole nother level of accountability as
Yeah.
well. It's I I think that you have to understand what your goals are. I don't think I would ever, personally speaking, just be like, oh, I'm going to be 50-50 partners with somebody on a single family house. Like I'd need to see, you know, more skin in the game, or like a bigger investment in order to make it make sense, right?
Hmm.
So I don't know if that really answered your question. That's kind of like the different avenues I see. I,
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why you can't raise capital and bring it in, but you have to be able to understand that this is a lot of weight. It's a lot of weight to
Yeah.
carry when you're bringing in other people's money.
Oh, yeah.
Well, sure. No, I think that answers the question. I think it really, so what you're saying is it depends on the individual and it depends on the deal, right? Maybe like you said, if you like yourself, like a little bit more, you like a lot more control, you may want to do some of the deals on your own. But if you're willing, but you also at the same time, you do deals passively as well. So, that's, and it's funny. Some folks we have on here, and they're like, "This is the way we do it. We do this every single time. Every other way is wrong." Right? Okay. But what you're saying is find what fits your lifestyle and your budget, and that's the right answer. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I would rather see somebody, get into a deal and be able to learn and grow than to just never do anything. But I think that you have to have really clear expectations anytime you're working with somebody else. Like, what do you bring to the table? Like, money is one thing. A certain level of like compatibility is another. When you're going to be
Yeah.
managing stuff, it's important to know. Um, I'm actually in the process of. I mean, I've got my portfolio, and then I actually have a business partner, and I've had other partners where we've done like one-off deals together, and like they've been okay, very transactional, fix and flips, right? Like that's a kind of a defined life cycle, so there's a little less risk. When you're
Hmm.
going in and buying something and signing on debt together for a long period, like you better know that person. You better
Yeah.
have done and dated and courted for quite a while, right?
Mhm.
Um, my partner, I've actually lent money to, and that's how everything kind of started. And we decided to, basically raise money for our first deal together. And now we didn't know at the time that we were so opposites. But once you start to get into like the business piece of it together, we're working with some business consultants right now. And one of the things that they're huge on is the predictive index testing. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that or ever looked at it. I
Tell us.
thought it was I thought it was kind of ridiculous at first, and we made everybody in the office take this PI assessment, right? And everybody hated it, bad mouthed it. But when you sit down and you can talk to somebody that can read these things like a book, they will tell you things about yourself that you didn't even know, and about how like the management style. And so when we overlay like my PI profile and my partner's profile, like we are like this, like it's like a V, right? So I'm wearing off this way, and he's going off this way, but that's why it works, right?
Mhm.
Sure.
Like he's the maverick and I'm the analyst. I'm the very methodical, organizational person, and he's like, I'm just going to throw anything at the wall, like fire, aim, ready kind of deal. Um, so that's why it works. So if you understand that, things like PI can help you. And one of the business consultants that we work with that we do this testing through, it's not a level of like IQ or smarts or anything like that. But what it does is it's a test to indicate what motivates you. So you want to have an alignment of what motivates people and what you're looking for in a specific role. So when we're looking to hire somebody, we know that like we want them to be motivated in this fashion, and then we try to find PIs that align with that. So I know I kind of just totally derailed with it, but that's again the partnership piece of it, and trying to understand and why people work together or they don't.
Yes. No,
Love
that's
it.
great. And you guys found it by a lucky accident, and then you tested for it after the fact, and you're like, "Oh, this is why it works so well." But you found it by a lucky accident. So what's your bread and butter? What are you looking for in purchasing right now? Like, man, if this comes across your desk, bam, I'm buying those all day long.
I mean, right now, like I've got my eye on different like multifamily, like mid-sized multifamily stuff here in our local market.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I should tell you kind of where we stand right now with our business part of it. Our I'm not trying to derail the question here either. But like our business right now is definitely going through like some growth, and my partner and I have basically formed the management company together. So the management portfolio that we have is about 250-ish units that we own and self-manage like personally, right? So we don't do any third-party management. We don't do anything for anybody else. We're not licensed, but we do all of our own self-management. So we have a team of people that we're building out and really integrating our and focusing on process development. So there's that operational piece that I'm more in line with. Now, if you look at the other business that we have, that's where my business partner actually is like the CEO and I'm the director of operations. He's running all of the transactional side and I help with the operations of it. So my personal purchasing has gone way, way down. There's certain things that I would definitely step in and buy as far as like mid-sized multifamily here in Mansfield, single family houses. I'd buy those all day long. It's from the transactional side, like my partner is probably they're doing north of 100 transactions a year from the buy and the sell side or buy and hold. One of the things we're looking at doing is buying into some bigger multifamily and expanding into some other markets like Columbus. So that's kind of where we are with it. We would consider doing some syndication deals where we would raise capital if we could find the right multifamily things that would make sense. Probably need to be at least 60 70 units plus, in that $3 to $5 million acquisition range is kind of where we'd be looking.
Mm-hmm.
Love
Very
it.
good, excellent.
Love it. Growing.
So your
And Caleb,
multis that you currently own, are they in Richland County? Or are they spread out? Where are those located?
Yeah, so I do own multifamily, some smaller multifamily here in Richland County. But the larger multifamily things that we own is actually over in like Summit County. There's 101 units over in Summit County right now. And then the Mansfield market, it's kind of funny because I own more multifamily, like smaller stuff personally in the Mansfield area. And then my partner that we manage for owns a bunch of single family houses. So it's kind of like this split portfolio. We have a boatload of single family houses in Mansfield, some small multifamily in Mansfield, and then more large multifamily over in Summit County. All of those which we've raised capital for. If we saw those deals come across in Mansfield, we would hands down jump all over those.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, and you've mentioned a lot of times through the podcast so far, Caleb, too, that you have goals in mind, and you even mentioned that you know that you have to kind of step away from management even to get to these goals. So I know you've mentioned how many units you have, not maybe not as a full spectrum, but where are you at now? What goals do you have for this next year and for the next 5 years that maybe you could share with us, and how does that look for you?
Yeah, I don't know how much I'm at liberty to say too, but I will definitely relay where I want to head to. Like our goal as a management company right now, we're sitting at I think 253 units under management from our portfolios.
Mhm.
We are going to be adding on another 14 or 15 here in the next week or two. our goal is to get that portfolio to close to 1,000 units. So we want to do some more acquisitions, move into some other markets, and we're not going to get it by just doing single families. We're going to probably look for some bigger 50 to 100 unit multifamily acquisitions. The whole reason why we're building out the management company is so we can just bolt on more multifamily, set up the operations, put them into our system, and just run and perform. So that's where I want to head, is be able to get to that 1,000 unit mark under management for our company, right? And obviously having equity in most of those.
Yeah.
The active business side, where we're doing like fix and flips and doing a lot more transactional. Our goal this year is really, I don't know if I'm at liberty to say this or not, but I mean, we want to hit that $2 million revenue, like gross profit mark.
Yep.
So that's where we're trying to head.
Hey, profit is not a bad word on this program.
No.
Yeah.
No,
So,
the more the better, because then first off, the more you profit, the less slumlords you will be, right? The more profitable I am, the sooner I can fix the parking lot and fix the roofs, and build those communities up, and then do it again in other communities, and then do it to my church or do it to my charity, and it just never ends. There's no such thing as a bad word. As profit is not a bad word around here, man. Love to hear it.
Yep. No, we got some big goals. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg, but that's what I'll say. 2024, we're looking to do about 2 million in gross profit.
Love it. We're huge dreamers over here, man. You don't got, we love it, man.
So here's the thing: you're wanting to get to 1,000 units, but correct me if I'm wrong. You're not going to do that on your own, putting 20% down of your own money every single time.
That is 100% correct. There's no way
you're going to do that, and it would take too long. We don't have enough years in our life to do that. But by raising capital, you mentioned it. That's the magic. That's when you start to scale. So, and you mentioned raising capital. So, how does that look from a newbie standpoint? Someone who has never raised capital before, who's afraid to ask someone for money to put in on a deal. Hey, can you help me out? I need to borrow some money so I can buy this house and fix it up. Okay, because that's essentially what you're asking. But you have refined it over the years, because now you're attracting investors and offering them an opportunity. But tell me how that starts and what that conversation looks like for the layman.
Yeah, I think it all depends on where you are in your real estate journey. If you're a newbie, you're more than likely going to probably need to earn some stripes to have any sort of credibility. And that might mean you go out and you get a loan and do some fix and flips, something short term, approaching people with some. You need to build that track record, and then once you start to get those track records and knowing like, hey, these are the types of investors or the people in my network that I know. Maybe there's some people that want a longer term equity position. I don't think that I would ever really want to go right out of the gate into an equity position with somebody that I didn't know or that didn't align with their goals. So try to understand their goals and know that like you're going to provide them with an opportunity. So you're going to do a lot of the sweat equity, and then they're going to help reap the benefits of that, So I think from like a small scale where, hey, I just need to get into the game, you're probably going to be looking at private lenders. You're probably going to be looking for somebody to come through and help with the down payment, the funding, the rehab, maybe signing on some debt to get a hard money loan to buy your first property, right? Those deals go well. You can basically start to scale and do that at a higher volume, or you can start to transition into like raising capital in order to like actually partner with people. And when you're looking at maybe the larger scale, like the syndication route, what I did and I thought was immensely helpful is, even if you don't have the money to go in and invest in these things, act like you do. Go through there and actually walk through the deal as if you are an investor courting this as an investment opportunity. Look at their private placement memorandums. look at their offerings, analyze and understand how they're running their operations. Get as much knowledge from these operators that you possibly can. And then when the time comes for you to know what a partnership looks like, you're going to know how to analyze that deal. You're going to know how to, structure that operating agreement. You're going to know what a private placement memorandum looks like. And then that's going to create a lot more credibility, and you're going to have better answers for your prospective investors, right? So I think there's anything from small scale, it's probably going to be small loans, private loans, then into the partnership of, hey, maybe we buy a small multifamily together, understanding what their contributions are going to be, whether or not you're going to have control of the deal or they're going to have, some say in it. Outline that. That's the biggest conflict that I think happens, is people think that one person's running the deal or they have a say or they're all equal opinions. Uh, Outline that first, understand who's doing what. That's the most important thing. That's one of the beauties of the syndication route, is that you're literally just going for, like, you have very clear outlined roles. I'm the managing member. We make the decisions. We're going to do everything we can to execute on the business plan that we put together, right? People that are investing in us understand that there are risks with that, and that this is the plan. I'm just a capital piece, right? It's not, hey, I think we should sell this. No, that's not on the business plan. There's 10, 15, 20 other people in on this. Like,
Right.
that's not a decision that you get to make as a limited partner. So you have to understand what those roles are. But that's kind of how I would approach the capital piece of it. Do some deals, even if you have to partner with somebody to, I hate to say it, do something for them for free, create some value for them to even be able to, like, show you, so you can at least get some experience. If there's nothing else, you can at least learn from them. And, you know, they're going to probably be more than willing to bring you in to the game to participate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, sir. So, okay. And again, for another one for the beginners out there, where do I find these people? Where do I find people that are going to loan me money? Where do I find people that I'm going to partner with?
That's a great question. I think that, that's the whole reason why we had part of the real estate networking group that we had. Coming from Chicago, like, I went to them all the time, and that's how I found people that I wanted to lend to. And that's how I realized, like, how important it was to have a network, that's actively doing the deals. Um, so let me circle back to that last question too, because I even thought, like, as far as, if you are in the position to do lending, like, that's a great spot to find people. I know I had, like, a self-directed, like, solo 401k, and being able to do some private lending out of that, that's something that I couldn't touch, right? Because that's something that's supposed to be passive for you in the future. But that means that I can still lend and do fix and flip projects through my 401k, utilizing somebody else to do it, right? So you start to develop that track record as well. And then when you need to be able to borrow money from people or do other deals, like, you have other experience. So I think the key thing is look at your network. Who are you hanging out with?
Mm-hmm.
Who are the people that you want to know? Be very targeted. Are you just going home and playing video games every night? Are you going home watching TV? Otherwise, I don't feel bad for you. There's no excuses for wasting your time like that. Be intentional about who you want to be around. And believe it or not, like, just understand and talk to people and get to learn their stories. And you will start to develop a friendship and a track record with them. On a small scale beginner, it's all going to come from your personal network. Don't expect to be like, oh, I'm going to go out and raise money by putting something on Facebook. Like, not a good practice. Develop on those relationships, and it's going to come from your personal network.
Yeah, and you said it. Who are you hanging around? Who are you with? Who are you spending your time with? You're the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. We've heard that quote 1,000 times. And you like you said, you're very intentional on how you're spending that time. And the easiest way to say it is just talk about real estate. Mark Gray used to say that. I asked him that. How do you find guys that want to invest in money? He's like, I just talk about real estate. And he said, some guy pulls me aside and says, hey, if you ever need some money, I got you. He's like, it's crazy. I just talk about real estate all the time, and I get these connections.
Yep. Yep. Well, I mean, you also start to look at like as people get to hear your story, they're like, oh man, this guy knows what he's doing. And, you start to develop some credibility. I'm like, hey, let me take you through a project I'm doing. Let me send you some information about like how I analyze this deal. And people start to develop some level of like expertise in what they're doing, what they're preaching. And other people, like, that money will start to basically find you eventually.
So you're welcome for all that new money that's going to find you after we release this podcast, Kaleb.
Oh man, I hope so. I hope so. We're gonna have some big deals coming up here in 2024, probably.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
That is the plan, baby. That's why we just talk about real estate. It's that simple, right, Mark
Yep.
Gray? Right, JP?
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right, man. You want to go down? I mean, we're running over 30 minutes already. Do you want to hit him with any of the script real quick?
Let's do it.
JP?
Let's hit him with the huge four. Let's hit him with the rapid fire round. We're on some time, but we're talking real estate, baby. That's what we're
Okay.
passionate
All right. We're gonna hit you with the huge four. You still got time?
I absolutely do.
Okay,
Right.
we're gonna hit you with the huge four, baby. Ooh, yeah. And then we're gonna hit you with the rapid fire round, and you'll just be quick off the top of the head. The huge
All right.
four. What's one thing you wish you would have known when you began your career?
In real estate, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Oh man, don't be afraid of going for private money. Don't try to do it alone. Focus on gaining that experience and growing faster rather than by yourself.
Yeah.
Love it.
Great
Love
advice.
it. From
I mean,
somebody,
really, at the end of the day, what's the difference if my loan is with the bank or with my loan is with my uncle? It's still a loan. I still got to pay it back.
Yep.
So man, it makes more sense to help my friends and family out.
Yep.
So I love that.
absolutely.
All right, JP.
Yeah. What was your biggest failure, Caleb, and what did you learn from it?
Oh man, there's so many of them. There's one that I can think of right off the top of my head. I wouldn't say it's my biggest failure, maybe financially, but maybe not the biggest one. We lost about 30 grand on a fix and flip once in Chicago. So you kind of figure out where I'm going with this. There's just some things are in your control, some things are not. There was definitely things that we did wrong on this fix and flip. Our contractors didn't pull a permit and ended up getting shut down. And then that ended up triggering having to get an architect, and our timelines just went like way, way too long. So had hard money on the deal, and so we ended up losing some money. But you know what? Like, out of all things considered, like, it was paid education. So
Yep.
we ended up all right. We got it sold. Take your stripes, and you learn from it.
Yep. Never losses, only lessons. baby.
And always pull those permits.
Yeah, exactly.
We learned
Especially in
that.
Chicago. Yep.
Okay, number 3. What are the best resources that have helped you along the way?
Hands down, my family. There's no doubt that I would be where I am without my family, because they're the first ones that have ever lent me money, invested in me, partnered with me. They've been, the rocks for sure. I kind of saw some real estate as my parents were doing some real estate investing, second generation. I'm third generation into it now. So that was the fundamental piece of it. And I think overall, like, connecting with business partners has been instrumental as well.
Awesome.
Shout out fam. Shout out the family.
Yep.
JP, number 4.
Absolutely. And I heard you say this earlier, and maybe one of these are on here, but I was just like you as well, Caleb, where I read the cash flow quadrant before I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And man, and I was the same way. I'm sitting here at work thinking, how can I become an I? How do I become an E to an I? What do I need to do? That book sent me into a whole different realm of like, all right, I'm doing this thing. So with that being said, what are the 2 books that have inspired your success the most?
Man, I gotta say cash flow quadrant, although I know that's probably a pretty trite thing to say. I just know that was like the fundamental like shift for me, right? There's other things too, like I don't know if I could pick a second, but I would say extreme ownership is up there. Who Not How is up there. Um, and the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. All three of those books have been absolutely instrumental. Um, it's funny because all of them talk about like the level of responsibility, all the way to like not trying to do everything yourself, and then also like how do you set really big goals. So I think it kind of covers the gamut because you need the whole person, not just part of the person. You need everything, right? You need the vision, but you also need the execution of it.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Those books tie it all together. You're exactly right. Okay, rapid fire round. JP, you start them off on this.
All right. I think we've got like 7 or 8 questions, Caleb. Rapid fire round. First thing that you think, let it out.
Oh,
First
man.
question. What is your spirit animal?
Lion.
There we go. Favorite movie?
Man, I don't know. I really like some military movies. Like I'm trying to think of Lone Survivor. I think is probably up there.
Right. All right. Favorite food?
Right now, probably ramen. Like I'm really digging like some legit, really good ramen. Maybe it's because I can't get it in Mansfield, and I wish that there was a good place to have it. But that's what I'm longing for right now.
Nice.
I just had my first real like restaurant ramen probably 4 or 5 months ago when I went down in Columbus. Unreal, man. Unreal.
Yeah. So good. There was a place in Chicago we always went to called Furious Spoon, and I've never been able to find anything anywhere around here that's even close. Even Columbus. Like I've gone to 4 or 5 places in Columbus, still nothing quite like Furious Spoon in Chicago.
Shout out Furious Spoon.
Yeah.
Furious Spoon.
What do you do in your spare time?
Work and then go to the gym and hang out with my friends. I'm a huge outdoors person. Love going snowboarding next week. I ride my motorcycle, ride my 4-wheelers, got a boat. So yeah, anything outdoors. You will not find me sitting behind a TV. That's why it was so hard for me to answer what my favorite movie was, is because I don't even know. I'm like, I just want to be outside.
Love
Nice,
it,
man. Nice.
All right,
that's that financial freedom thing. Let you do whatever you want.
This is a new question we got on the rapid fire round.
Yeah.
If you could have dinner with anyone, alive or dead, who would it be and why?
I think I'd be really interested to talk to Grant Cardone. I mean, I think he's just so high energy, just infectious. Like I'd love to sit down and chat with him.
Love it. Everybody would.
I've talked with Grant a few times. I should have you into our Grant Cardone Real Estate Club a day sometimes, video call. So we do a video call. Yeah, we do a video call Wednesdays at noon and Fridays at noon. And I gotten away from it because they talk huge syndications.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have a caller, like there's probably about 200 people on the video call, and they'll pitch out of those 200 callers, 3 people will pitch a deal. And you'll have all these different deals of varying sizes, but they're all syndications, all raising big, huge capital. And Grant's on the call, and his right-hand man, his pilot, Ryan Secco, is there. And they'll just go through and just praise these deals, and then most of the time what they do is just tear these deals to shreds. And it's just like reality television is so good, but it's good. And Grant always says that, do you want me to be honest with you so you learn something, or do you want me to be soft on you? And everybody's like, shit, tell me. So everybody's there learning what to say, how to pitch it. And I pitched a couple deals, and the one yeah, we had some questions, and Grant was helping me out and everything on a few things. So yeah, Don't get me wrong. It was not a sit down dinner because that would be a whole different experience. But, man, he'd be at the top of my list too. That would be a good one.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's awesome.
And don't let
Yeah.
Pete be too modest. He won deal of the week when he pitched some deals. So
I did. Yeah.
pitched
One
two.
deal of the week out of the 3. It got me a little certificate. But but it's more than anything, and they do fund some deals through the club. Absolutely. I mean, this is a club of some of the most elite real estate investors in the world are in this club. I paid $25,000 to be in the club.
Mhm.
Okay. But it was money well spent because you learn how to do it and how to pitch it, and you learn about the power of teaming up with folks. It's invaluable,
Yep.
Have you heard? And there's another club on top of that. Have you heard of the Tiger 21 Club by chance?
I have not. I have
Yeah,
not.
this is like a super elite real estate investors club, and I
Okay.
think they're 100. I think they're 100 grand to join. And but you're buying your way into a fraternity of hopefully trusted partners. Vetted and trusted partners. I don't know what the process is on that, but I only heard of it because I joined the Grant Club, and he educated us. He had mentioned that a few times. I said, "Oh, what's this? Let me check this out." And hey, it all goes back to what you said, Caleb.
Yep.
Your network is your net worth. It's who you're hanging out with, right? So that's value.
Well, one of the things that, we've been doing, like my business partner and I have to give him credit for this, is because he's very much a pay to play type of person. His mindset is like, I need to accelerate. I need to be there. I need to get there faster. I don't need to figure it out now. What I need to do is just like get in there and get exposure right away. So he's been a long time, member of Collective Genius. And I don't even know what the subscription fees are on that per month. It's something that he's been doing, but I've started to attend with him, right? So every quarter, we're going to Florida or we're going to California every quarter. And the level of acceleration that he's seen from his business standpoint because of that mastermind group has been incredible. You're around people like I was talking to a guy back in December. We were down in Florida, and arguably one of the most successful people in that mastermind, very active fix and flip business. And he's like, yeah, I want to be a billionaire. I'm like, that's a big goal. And then it's not just something that somebody says. He's like, yeah, within the next 8 years, I should have $1.8 billion in real estate that I own personally. I'll have about 800 million in debt. So that should net me at $1 billion. Keep in mind, this guy started buying he was a fix and flipper running a very active business and didn't own any real estate up to about 4 or 5 years ago. Ran into a big tax problem where his accountant's calling him saying like, hey, you're going to be paying like $5 million in tax this year. And he's like, what do I do? And they're like, maybe you should consider buying some multifamily and actually trying to keep some of this. And he just went off to the races, man. He bought 1,400 units himself within like 4 years. So, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna keep on buying, He's like, I want to be a billionaire. He's like, I want the $30 million jet. I'm like, all right, that's not my goal. That's his goal. But that's the point of the masterminds, right? Like you're getting in there with Grant Cardone and those other guys. That's the caliber of people that you're going to be working with.
You would not meet that guy sitting at home on your couch watching movies.
No.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what it takes.
And you have to spend some money to get there.
Right.
Yeah.
You're paying subscription fees to masterminds. You're paying to get to the hotel, the conference, the whatever it is. Invest in yourself.
It's no different than going to college, paying for a tuition. And look how expensive those are. I mean, you're going to spend 50 grand a year to go to a university. You're 200 grand in. But what you're buying is the name, the recognition, the relationships you get while you're in college. I still do business with guys I went to college with. So it's a pay to play as well. But the real estate pay to play is more unlimited. So in my mind, there's more potential in the real estate pay-to-play field than there is in, say, a traditional university pay-to-play field. Would you guys agree?
100%.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
our rapid fires ain't rapid. Are they firing so rapid?
I slowed us way down. Sorry.
That's all right. It's
No,
great.
no.
Okay.
Karaoke.
Okay. What is your go-to karaoke song?
Nothing, because I don't sing.
Dang, man! I thought you were gonna surprise me with something.
No. I'm gonna surprise you with like never will carry. You won't catch me at a bar karaoke ever. I love going and watching people, but you're not
Yeah.
gonna find me there getting up on the mic.
All right. Dang it.
Me and
Dang it.
Pete
Dang it.
are famous for some good karaoke's at a Dream Huge party. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we'll get Caleb out of his karaoke shell one night.
I will watch. I will watch.
we surprisingly got Blake out. Blake Hunt. We got him singing the one day.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Blake's coming on.
Yeah.
He's coming on. All right. Go ahead, JP.
Yeah. What is something that you fear?
Something that I fear, huh? I think just the idea of failure, letting somebody down. That's always in the back of my mind, especially as you raise capital. You never want to see a deal go sideways, or that you could potentially inflict harm or hurt somebody else. So that's something I definitely fear. Not that I'm going to let that stop me, but I definitely want to be cognizant and aware of it.
Yeah,
that's a common answer with investors on the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to end the rapid fire round with this one. What is your greatest accomplishment?
I think just being where I am right now and just trying to get better. So I'm proud of what I've done so far, and it's not like one tangible thing, but I think being able to transition out of engineering into a real estate investor, into a business owner. So just those levels of growth, I think, has been my biggest, I guess what I'd say is what I'm most proud of.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And I had to drop this in here. Brian Running, who is actually associate broker here at Dream Huge. I don't know if you know Brian. Comes from an engineer background.
Okay.
And he did the complete transition as well. He's full on real estate now, real estate investor full time, very analytical. I remember when I met him, his spreadsheets, he was breaking down numbers and returns and different ratios that I never even heard of. And I'm the real estate agent, He started as an investor client of mine. I'm like, who is this guy? And he's like, oh, I'm an engineer, very analytical. Okay. I think that really helps as far as for being a real estate investor. You operate more off data and less off your gut. And I think that can really help you. I'm sure you're still going to have that $30,000 loss every now and then. It's going to happen. You're going to lose. Yep. You will lose in this game. But the more deals you do, if you stay true to your numbers and to your data, you will have success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you just have to look the engineering piece of it. Yeah, it's great. You can make sure you make less mistakes, but you're also going to have the trade-off of going a lot slower. So you need to have that delicate balance of, when is it time to walk and when is it time to run? And when do you need a running buddy to pull you along? It's like, all right, come on. And that's what my partner is to me, the fire aim ready. And I'm like, let's walk a little bit. So we're the yin and the yang, but that's part of, being the engineer versus the maverick, so to speak.
Yep. Very good analogies. Okay, Caleb, how and where can folks contact you?
I think the best thing to do is probably just to drop me an email.
Yep.
I am not the one that's active on social media. As you know, I don't sit on my couch and I don't watch movies. So you're not going to probably find me on social media. I'm somewhat just always out and about. But yeah, you can drop me an email. First name is Kaleb, Kaleb, and at bluesummitresidential.com.
Very good. the mysterious Kaleb Packer. Giving us a little insight today. Giving us a little insight. I think he's gonna have an Instagram page up later tonight, JP. Maybe he'll detail some of his real estate adventures and outdoor adventures as well.
It's funny because I actually have an Instagram like back before you had to put, like 35 digits at the end of your name. Like I've actually had my name on the Instagram platform for like probably well over a decade now, but I don't ever post on it. I don't ever go on it. I mean, I'll be the first one to admit, like it's there. It's not useful.
Well, the man is focused, man. He knows what he's doing. He does it well, and he's growing like crazy. Kaleb Packer, thank you for the time today. I know you're super busy. Greatly appreciate it, and thank you. And hopefully we helped motivate and inspire others. I skipped the whole intro, by the way, so I'm going to hit it at the end here. We're here on the Dream Huge podcast to help motivate and inspire others with other huge dreamers such as Kaleb Packer, other real estate investors, and hopefully these stories will help to motivate and inspire you to dream huge and to grow your portfolio and to work towards financial freedom. So thank you very much, Kaleb Packer. Thank you very much, JP, John Pavlansky. Any final thoughts, JP?
No. I mean, Kaleb, thank you a ton for your time, man. It was a blast getting to talk some real estate with you and learn kind of what your mind and how it works, man. So thanks a ton for the time. And I know the viewers definitely got a lot of good tips and tricks from this one.
Yeah, great insight. Yep. Not only viewers, but the listeners as well. This will be available online on YouTube and on all podcasts, wherever podcasts are found. So, all right, Kaleb, thank you very much, sir. And as always, remember the rules. Work hard, never give up, and dream huge, baby. Let's see the guns, Kaleb. Baby. I like it. Hey, he does go to the gym. Shoo-wee.
Every once in a while.
See you
guys. Take care.
All right.